Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to share with you my top 5 houseplants for lower light situations. Some of these plants are living on shelves that are not directly in front of a window, and then the other plants are living in front of a northern window. So for all of these plants, none of them received any direct light from the sun, and they're all doing really well. They're growing new leaves and thriving, so I just wanted to share that with you in case you have a similar lighting situation in your house. But before I get into that video, I just want to let you know that I'm hosting my first giveaway, which is really exciting. So Brad over at Hidden Harvest Grow Lights, he recently just launched his new website and he's selling full spectrum LED grow lights. So he provided me with 2 grow lights for 2 different winners, and I'm hosting it over on my Instagram. So if you're interested in winning a grow light, you can head on over to my Instagram, it's Juju Succulents, and the details on how to enter are right on there. So I'd highly recommend it if you have wanted a grow light for a while, you just didn't want to take the plunge and buy one yourself, so that's a great opportunity if you're interested. All right, so let's get into my top 5 plants that do well in lower light conditions. We're gonna start with Monstera adansonii. So he is on a shelf and the room has 2 windows, western and northern light, but he is not in front of the window. However, when I first got this plant, it was not doing well. It got a lot of brown tips on the leaves. I had to chop off a lot of leaves. A lot of them turned yellow. And then what I did was I repot him in a mix that is more airy and light. So I took some cactus mix mixed with perlite and bark, kind of similar to like my Hoya mix, and he did a lot better. And this pot has a drainage hole, which is very important. And I basically water him once the soil becomes dry. These are all new leaves. This is also known as the Swiss cheese vine, since it kind of vines out into these long branches. So he's gonna look really pretty when he's trailing down my bookcase. And he's absolutely beautiful. I bought him, probably he was maybe 2 or 3 times this size, but I split it up into a few pots. I'm actually water propagating the other half until I repot them. But he's doing really well. I would say he's a little bit finicky. He still does get little brown, I don't know if you can see, but some of the leaves have like little brown tips. But it's nothing serious. I'd say for the most part, he's doing well. He still, like I said, is growing a ton of leaves. This little, there's a new leaf right there. He's constantly growing new babies. So yeah, I'd say he's really easy to care for, and I heard they don't like to be receiving extreme light because it will burn the leaves, but I have also heard that they will do well in an eastern window. I would definitely not put this plant in a southern or western window because I definitely think it would burn the leaves. But yeah, he is a really beautiful plant and he's really easy to propagate as well, so I highly recommend it if you find it at the local garden center. So this is my Philodendron Brazil. I think the last time I showed you this guy was probably in the fall, and he's grown a lot since then. I'm gonna show you how long he's got. So as you can see, he has gotten really long. If I notice any of the leaves are starting to turn solid green, I just chop them off. Some variegated plants do try to revert back to solid, but in order to prevent that, just chop off those leaves and leave the ones that have the variegation. And the room that this guy is in receives eastern and southern light, but this little guy is on a floating shelf, so he's not receiving any direct sunlight, and he grows like crazy. He's easy to propagate. I water him when the soil is completely dry, and he's really common. You can find him in most garden centers, and I fertilize him about once a month. Next up is my Pilea Peperomioides. And I have a few of these plants. I have some that have done really well in eastern exposed windows, but I have a lot of them now on my shelving units that don't receive any direct light, and they do perfectly fine. They still continue to grow new leaves, and they seem perfectly happy. I did hear from someone that in nature they grow in like the understory of like wooded areas, so they are used to more shade. Same with the other plants. I let him dry out completely before I water him again. I just stick my finger about 2 inches into the soil, and as long as it's bone dry, I will water it. I do have a care guide on this Pilea, I'll link it in the top right corner and also in the description if you want to see my care guide for this plant. So now I'm going to show you my plants that I keep in my northern window. So yeah, they are in front of a window, but they're not receiving any direct sunlight. So this is Begonia wightii. I got him from Logie's, and I remember the first time I saw this plant, I was like, these leaves look unreal. They just look like someone painted them. They look kind of silver. It's absolutely gorgeous. This plant is incredible. And then the back of the leaves are like this maroon color. I do have a care guide for angel wing type begonias on my channel, and this is a type of angel wing begonia, so if you're interested in getting care tips for these types of begonias. But he's very easy to care for. He does get the brown tips here and there just because they require really high humidity, and I'm keeping mine inside. Typically, humidity is quite low in your home, but I'm a crazy plant lady and I don't use my AC for most of the day to help increase humidity, which might sound kind of crazy, but it really helps not to have your AC on all summer long. Maybe open your windows too, let inside some of that air. There might be some humidity in the air from outside. And he also would do well in a western or eastern window if you have that. And then last but not least, this is my cotton candy begonia. He also lives in a northern window right next to the wightii. And the blooms on this guy are so beautiful. A lot of them have actually dropped off, but I'll show you what's left. So those are what the blooms look like, even after some have fallen off. And similar care tips to Begonia wightii. I have noticed though that he doesn't crisp up as much, like his leaves don't get as crispy, which is nice. So you don't have to worry about aesthetically, it's gonna look a little better. It won't just have the crispy ends. But I even noticed when I would visit Logie's, they have these beautiful greenhouses. They're very high humidity. And even when you look at their begonias, like their wightii and their angel wing type begonias, they even get kind of crispy too. So even in like an ideal setting where humidity is high, it still is possible to get the browning tips on the leaves. So I think it's actually perfectly fine. It's a normal thing that happens. So even if you had like really high humidity in your house, it could still possibly happen, since I did see it in their greenhouse. So I wouldn't worry about it. The plant is still fine. It's still gonna grow. It's just more of an aesthetic thing. But you can also supplement with humidifiers if you want to, which is what I usually do in the winter time. All right guys, so those are my top 5 houseplants for lower light conditions. Like I mentioned before, please check out my Instagram if you want to enter in the Grow Light giveaway. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. I post videos every week. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.